Why do we need to feed our ego constantly? If it's not good for us. Obviously, it's got to be something in the middle, some sort of management, right? Like we got to start from like the worst egotistical little crybabies and then evolve our way. Like prepare to let go of all the physical, from the ego to the physical, so that we can ascend like helium, right? No one's ever made that comparison. But I've always thought like, yeah, helium must be like holy, because it's like, or anything that can go higher above oxygen. Like maybe there's helium in heaven. Ooh. Like, so maybe on some, on some level, like on all levels, it's from the physical to the metaphysical to the spiritual. We go from these little fat, heavy, needy, materialistic crybabies, excuse me, to heaven. And there's, anyway, what was I saying? But like, how do you resolve that? Like I'm always like looking at myself and like criticizing and looking at how I'm not valuable to anybody, right? And then there's that pseudo higher voice that's like, don't worry about what other people think. Oh, it's close to there's no way there's that love of yourself thing in me, but it sounds like it. It's like, don't worry about what other people think. Your values is dependent on you and your. God, it totally sounds like that. But anyway, yeah, that's not me. But like, so how do we go from it's real popular in the culture to like love yourself and like screw everybody. I'm actually listening to some little like, not a sermon but like a fellowship podcast, Jesse Lee Peterson Church, if anyone's interested. But which I honestly, I'm not really into him. I agree with maybe 40% of what he says, and then he's like bullshitting the rest of it. And I think he's got a little pseudo Christian. It's like Buddhist philosophy dressed in Christianity, and he's like removing purpose. And this is about purpose. Maybe that's why I'm doing this. I'm saying this little video here is because it's, I guess from the Buddhist perspective, it's like, just drop all purpose, and no desire, no suffering. There, your problem's solved. No, you're not an island. It's not all about you. And also another theme, the theme and the question for his particular little fellowship is like why don't you block people? Something like that. Like what stops you from blocking people that annoy you, right? And he has this sort of he has this black and white view, and I don't deny the absolute black and whites of our existence, nor do I deny the liberal spectrum and perspectives that they love to manipulate to keep themselves like exempt from judgment. Like relatively, I'm a sinner. But relatively speaking, depends on who you compare me to, right? Like that's like any coward can use that rationalization. But no, so I've figured it out. At least I think I have. I mean, it's kind of obvious. It's both. But what's more important between the absolute and the relative? What's more important? The point is, the absolute is real. Heaven and hell, God, good and evil, God and the devil. That's absolutely what binds our reality, right? And so I think we're told this as youth from authority, however that's represented in your experience. And you go, okay, all right, makes sense. There's right and wrong. And then you find out how difficult it is to figure that out. And then you get seduced by the whole, reality is subjective, because you're trying to be good and you can't, and you're judging others, but it turns out you're not, so that's quite a struggle. And it's like, well, no shit. There's no recipe for life. That's like a cheat sheet. If you could know where the middle is between right and wrong, then you'd know exactly how to get to heaven. You just kind of play on the fence, and kind of mess around with below. So, you'd sin, but you keep checking. Oh, you wouldn't know exactly when you're going to die, right? That'd be another cheat too, right? But then just to know the middle, and you just kind of hang out in the middle, and then it's like if you think you get a cough or something, or your heart starts to give you some troubles, and then you just like you donate to a church or something, or help an old lady across the street, and you're like, yeah, see that, God? I'm right above. I'm right at that point. Or I don't know. If whatever, if that's the middle, and you figure, okay, you need 70% to pass. I don't know. So then you play around. Anyway, there's no cheat. There's no formula. There is though. There is. Like there is. Right? Like there is. You just can't touch it. It's like God. He's real if you're not totally asleep. As soon as you start taking the red pill, you figure it out with the truth. You just can't touch it, though. You ain't. There's no Neo. You're not gonna. There's only one Jesus, right? And it ain't you, right? So that's not what we're here for. We're a test. You're a test, and you can't cheat. All right. There is an absolute heaven and an absolute hell, good and bad. And you're not going to know what it is exactly, but you've been given a fair warning and enough information to conduct yourself, with discretion. You just can't go, oh man, which God are you talking about? There's so many gods. What religion or what philosophy or what political, what ideology? Just reality is subjective. Aren't I sophisticated? Aren't I, we all have to, we need to accept and love everyone. Okay, sure, there's a truth to that, but don't pervert it so you lose touch of reality. Don't lose the absolute above and the absolute below, right and wrong. You don't know what it is exactly, but as you get older, you start to figure, you get closer like you're supposed to. Just don't be a dumbass and like drop it all because you're frustrated. It's so easy to get frustrated, but you have to keep on target. It's never going to be easy. What did he tell us in the beginning? When we had it all. We had everlasting life, and it was perfection and everything. Just like anyone, particularly atheists, would naively imagine, oh, God is a horrible way of, anyone who, you promote rape and slavery and genocide, it's going to be horrible, right? He made us in his image, so pay attention to that. So look at the naive atheists, or anyone who's just like, who's in like shock from reality. And the reality is this: you can't be saved. You can't redeem yourself if everything's all perfect. It's like you need the devil. We need the devil. It's like every step, every story, every point of at least the Bible, because that's what I'm most familiar with, which I'm barely familiar with, but that's just, what I've been looking into. Everything is about this point, about, and it aligns with that Buddhist duality stuff. It's like we're in a spiritual form that's defined by boundaries. Like there's dimensions and spectrums and shit, of which is bound by absolute good and bad, and then whatever else, gender, there's like lateral, there's color, light, sound, all of the three-dimensional, then there's the moral, right? And then there's like when you look into nature, like I don't know what's going on with Fibonacci sequences and spirals and stuff, but there's like order, And so is that it? So so I'm thinking about like pride and stuff, and so yeah, you can't all or nothing it, and you can't do this subjective crap either. Well, I'm doing great compared to the other piece of shit over there. So you really have to ride this absolute and relative. There is relativity, but you don't you are relatively good compared to someone else, but you don't. But does that mean that you're going to heaven? Does that mean you're like at least above the midpoint? Does it just because you're better than that other piece? So don't rely on that relativity. So we have to ride this wave. This is very difficult, and we need to fail. We have to start. You can't be born perfect. I mean, what a life. And I always tell atheists that argue with them on the internet. Like, every time they're like, "Oh, why do things have to be like this?" And it's like, how would you create the story better? I always give them that challenge, and without failure, they always fail. They come to some stupid, childish, naive idea of their utopia, and I tell them every time that wouldn't even go to no, yeah, that'll go. I say it wouldn't even go to DVD, is what I say. Like, who'd buy that movie? Who'd rent that movie? Who'd pirate that movie? People don't get it. Our reality is the ultimate fiction, okay? And that's why we love to be mesmerized and hypnotized by fiction, because it taps into enough of your friggin' scientific quantum theories about evolution and time and space. Reality, I mean, the only reason why I like that movie Contact, because the whole fake alien agenda thing, at least that lie will kind of break you free from the ground, so that you can start to explore. But yeah, I explored past that. But no, reality is spiritual. It's a spiritual fiction, right? Why? Because the fiction is not material, nor is the spiritual. See? So don't be looking through microscopes and telescopes necessarily. Don't look for God's handprint. Well, yeah, maybe. Okay, yeah. You can look at it. You can look for. Don't look for a friggin' email from God. Don't look for like an actual footprint, like a physical footprint, but a metaphysical, metaphorical. However you look, science is cool. As long as you're not a dummy. It's like the only reason why atheists claim that science says there's no God is because it's not science. It's their freaking obnoxious, defiant, childish spirit of the devil that makes that claim. If you know anything about truth, all the established, official, trusted scientists is bullshit. But anyway, so the point, with given all that I just covered there. Ooh, the stove's still in? No. Okay. So given all that, what do you do with your ego? Okay. Since you don't just throw it all away cold turkey until it's time to go up. Right? You're gonna need it down here, right? So how do you use it productively so it's not just like a selfish thing because you're not on an island? You do pay attention to it. You don't let it consume you, but you do. It tells you. You look in the mirror and it's like, yeah, your neighbors aren't impressed with whatever you're looking at. They're not impressed, but you gotta be smart, because your neighbors are, most people are just kind of, what is it? What are they good judge? What is the average person a good judge for? Morality? No. How about your ability to either entertain or inspire, or like entertain, inspire, sort of those things, social, sort of superficial stuff, yet it's everything's important from all depths of reality, so like just, I use society and your pride and how that's all attached to kind of, it's a gauge for reality and who you are and how you fit into this whole puzzle of the world. right? You're not going to find utopia, heaven, and completion and your purpose by yourself. So there is, you know, you have to care what people think. I think that's what I was getting at, because like the thing I was talking about earlier with Jesse Lee Peterson was the point is like, who cares what people think? And that's a common message that people are, as we're collectively struggling with life. It's like, well, I got the solution. Fuck what everyone says. It's all about you, man. Love yourself. YOLO. You and YOLO and your bucket list, and just, just fuck everybody else, until you find someone that, slips their way into your little sphere that's ultimately going to upset you and let you down anyway. I mean, because that's just life. So, I don't block people. I think it's just all around bad. Like, only if you have to. It's like if you have to shoot a motherfucker in the forehead, do it. If you gotta block a motherfucker, do it. But don't be quick to. Don't, you know what I mean? Like, don't be like trigger happy. Always like you want to be more open than not. Because hey, some like little gremlin is annoying the heck out of you, and you're like, oh, you're going straight to hell and I ain't going with you. But hey, you're struggling too, man. You don't look like you compared to other people. You don't look like you're on the right path. But wouldn't that suck if? And they have. I get booted. Okay, I get booted from all kinds of groups and rejected in society. But I'm not out in the actual society that much. Something I need to change. But when I've always been rejected by general society, which I don't care, because I've learned that that's actually a good thing. But even the egos everywhere. To my point, I'm booted from even the groups that I want to be part of. We'll say like martial arts. I can never find a group. So I get rejected in little groups. So I'll say like martial arts, and not always. It's not a rule. And freedom, sovereignty, patriot type groups, common law stuff. I got all kinds of people that I look up to, right? People that I'm a debtor to, that I'm a gracious debtor. I can get something of value from. You'd think that if the whole world that rejects you, that you can't get anything from, you'd like to think that those that you respect and that inspire you would accept you, but turns out, I get rejected everywhere. So I don't know what the point of that was. But yeah, so pay attention, because society, other people are a reflection of you. Good or bad, you got to figure that out. Don't be a dummy and go, well, if you reject me, I'm just not loving myself enough. And so I'm going to, like my freaking sister, I'm going to buy him a freaking coffee mug that says you're amazing on it. Don't forget. Don't worry about what other people say. No, worry about what other people say, because they might be right. Don't be a dummy. I guess that's my point. All right, bye.